Can't believe it, I've got my backpack on, I'm walking back to the car. I don't believe that. Very exciting news just came in from landowner HQ to say that I can detect some, I think, ploughed and rolled fields in Devon, which is just unbelievably exciting. I've just tripped over myself to get out of the house. I just chanced my luck today. I wrote to the farmer and said, listen, I noticed that the 5 fields you gave me to detect are in crop at the moment. I don't want to disturb it. Might there be any fields that have been ploughed and rolled? Thinking, well, if you don't ask, you don't get. And they wrote back and said, yeah, there are 3 you can do. You've got till July and August when the new crop goes in. I've been detecting here since last autumn, and I have found a few nice things. I found some medieval buckles, I found a hammered coin, I found a Roman coin. Really unusual for Devon. I don't want to hope, but it's an awful lot like a fibula, doesn't it? Oh no, hang on. I've been tricked. I think it might be a sheep. A wolf in sheep's clothing. I can hear the sea roaring about half a mile away. I've got a signal down here. It's another button. People were here. Just need some coins now. Little sea squall is blowing in. And I'm hoping that's going to bring me some signals, because there's really been very few up to this point. Well, rain stopped play for my first visit to my new fields. I've probably done 3 hours, and so far, I have to say, very quiet. There's one final field I want to check, but I can't do that today because the rain's come in now off the sea, so I'm going to have to do that on a different day. A little bit of research before I go into the field. So I'm using here the National Library of Scotland. You can see very clearly that is ridge and furrow landscape. Ridge and furrow. It's promising, but what's interesting about ridge and furrow is it's very, very deep, and it's possible it's too deep for my detector because now in the land you can't see it at all. So you imagine those sort of 8-foot high ridges and deep furrows have been levelled out by the plough. So potentially you're looking at 4 feet of soil over whatever's buried there. Could be good, might not be good. Let's go and see. It's hard to believe that this was ridge and furrow once, isn't it? It's so flat now. And it doesn't look like it did on the map, so I can't easily see where the boundary begins and how to get to the bit of the field that I'm allowed to detect on. Here we are then. So half of the field has been planted. I can see the vegetables at the other end. The rest is free for us to go at. Right, we've got our first artefact. What an amazingly detailed little thing. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Bloody hell. Literally not more than 2 steps away from that last hole, I've got another object. This time it's I think, a Bronze Age awl. I'll tell you why I think it's an awl. So an awl is a puncturing tool that was used... Oh, good, I've lost it. that was used by our Bronze Age ancestors to do things like pierce leather and that kind of thing. This is a very nice piece of bronze, really nice colour, super sharp. And you see it's got like a square profile. It's just got all the hallmarks of being a Bronze Age piece because it's got that lovely sculptural quality to it. It's that lovely green, that's an all. Gosh, this is looking like good bit of field, isn't it? Already. Wow, that's so cool. I love finding, first of all, anything that old, but second of all, this particular tool. It's just so sharp, and so the colour is so good, and the shape is, well, you can't really describe the shape. It's just got a sculptural quality to it. It isn't like things that we make today. Well, I think as first recce's go, this piece of land is very interesting. I'm sure there will be hammered coins here. I haven't found one today. I'm walking back to the car. Got a pretty dodgy signal. That looks like something to me. That looks like a coin. Hey! Oh my god, it's rolled up. What is that? I don't recognise this coin. I don't believe that. That's 2 days worth of work, that is. I don't recognise it. Let's clean it. Let's clean it. A rolled up one. Never had that before. I've got my backpack on. I'm walking back to the car. I really don't recognise this coin. I'm going to have to contact some friends about this one. Let's give it a little rinse. Rolled up. What does that mean? Wow, it's an amazing coin. It's got a kind of, let me turn you around. It's got a kind of, what would you say that is? It's like a kind of fan. It's hammered for sure, and it's silver. God, you get such a buzz of finding a hammered coin. It's just unreal, especially after 2 days of searching. I mean, you really earn these, don't you? I'm gonna need some help on this. I'm gonna do some detecting, which is my new word for the relationship I have with my detectorist friends, where we send each other detects late at night. It took 2 days, but we got there in the end. Silver! Ah, honestly, talk about the lows and the highs. So, what have we got here? We've got a hammered coin. I was like, what's that? That doesn't look like any hammered coin I've ever seen before. So I found a Spanish coin dating back to the 1500s, and it's called a half real. This coin dates from the reign of Ferdinand and Isabella, who are also known as the Catholic monarchs. So why is a Spanish coin here in South Devon? The Spanish Armada passed right by here. There are beacons all along the coast here that were set up for the very purpose of alerting and very quickly sending a message along our English coast that the Armada was coming through. As I'm walking through this crop here, I'm thinking about what I've learned and what was going on here in South Devon in the 1500s that might have any connection to people from Spain. And I've discovered that there was a wreck not more than 2.5 miles from where I'm walking now, less than an hour's walk away. It was a Spanish vessel, part of the Armada fleet, and one of only 2 hospital ships in that fleet. Its role was to look after the sick and the dying, and it was carrying somewhere between 140 and 200 Spanish men when it struck a rock in a small fishing village very close to where I'm walking now. The local people looted the cargo from the ship and took the men. Some accounts say they were looked after, other accounts say they were taken prisoner, but one thing's for sure, they were here for nearly 5 years until a ransom was paid by Spain to return them. I'm in Salcombe today, not far from where I've been detecting. You can hear the seagulls going off in the background, and everywhere there are references to the maritime here. The whole place is full of merchants' houses. It's really beautiful. I'm going to take a visit today to the Maritime Museum, and I've heard that there's an artefact in there from the wreck of the San Pedro el Mayor from the Spanish Armada, which dates back to the 1580s. I think I will come aboard. So we know a number of Spanish men were moving around here in the 1500s. And that rolled coin found here in this field may have belonged to a Spaniard from the Spanish Armada. I'm here with my coin. I thought I'd wear it on a piece of leather today for luck, and I'm pretty sure that's the reason why someone had this coin rolled, probably for luck. Hope it brought them some luck. Like that area over there where I found the coin is now covered in small purple sprouting broccoli plants. So yeah, I think I've been very, very lucky. So since I was here last week, these rows have been planted. God, amazing. I literally caught it within days. I wouldn't have found that coin. It was somewhere under those rows there. Look, here's one that's missed. There's a little row here, and there's one missing, and it's here. Let's put it in. Just had a thought. I wonder if those Spanish prisoners of war from the Armada ship that sank just here were put to work in these fields. This was ridge and furrow, so maybe someone was working here tending these crops. Maybe. Why is it rolled? That's the next thing. I mean, that is like a real labour. That's a real mission, isn't it? To get a coin to curl like that. That's deliberate, that's intentional. And in order to make this rolled, you would have to basically go through a process called annealing, which is where you heat the coin to extremely hot temperature and it turns a dark red colour when it gets to the right temperature, and then it can be bent with a tool. Have a look at the flap where it's been bent. Can you see there's a little kind of little S shape there? I think that's where it's been held with a tool. Okay, so it's hard to do. So I don't think this is just a joke, something that just someone does for a laugh. I think this is something that people do when they've got kind of something quite serious going on. Maybe they're worried about something, maybe there's a fear. I had a look on the Portable Antiquities Scheme website, tried to find other examples of coins that were rolled, and I found very few. There are actually only, I think, about 10 coins listed from the medieval or post-medieval period. But in my search popped up a record from the States, okay, from a place called Jamestown. It was the very first place that the English colonized, and they set off in 1604 in boats from London. It was a very treacherous mission. It must have involved a lot of fear. It's a new place, the new world. They didn't know where they were going. They wouldn't know whether they would be safe on the journey. They wouldn't know if they would get there alive. There would have been sickness on the boat and all sorts of stuff. Interestingly, in Jamestown, they have found a very large group of manipulated coins. They found a number that looked like this, that are rolled. They found a number of pierced ones and a number of folded ones. What does that tell us? I think it tells us that it was customary when making a big, scary journey by sea and doing something difficult and challenging, that you take something like this with you. And so I really do think that this coin represents for me a person who was taking a journey by sea. Maybe they put a piece of leather on it like this and wore it like this. What do you think? Well, I've decided to walk the 2.5 miles from my permission to see the very place where this shipwreck happened, because I really want to kind of get a sense of where it is and how close it is to where I'm working. There it is. That's the cove where it all happened. Amazing little beach. Look at the colour of it. If there was a wreck down there, you'd spot it, wouldn't you? But weirdly, no wreck has ever been found here, and it's unclear whether it just broke up on the rocks and was washed ashore. And there are some contemporary written references that suggest that might be the case, that sort of talk about the debris from the ship being washed up onto the shoreline. But also, maybe it floated away, no one really knows, so it's quite interesting really, a bit of a mystery. I'm not going to step back because I feel quite vulnerable on the edge of this cliff. What an amazing place. Looking out to sea and along the coastline of Britain, I can actually see Plymouth in the very far distance there. I suspect that wouldn't have been the case on the day that the San Pedro El Mayor blew into this cove and met its sticky end here on the rocks. It's been 2 weeks since I found that coin now, and I have to say I've really learned so much in that time. My theories have been wildly changing from one day to the next. One of the amazing things about metal detecting finds is that they often tie us to a date, at least, to give us some kind of clues. What I know about this coin is that its mint was extended beyond the reign of Isabella, because her heirs continued the production of that coin until 1566. So it's got a long date range, and that coin potentially could have landed on our shores 100 years before this shipwreck even happened. So my theories are changing by the day, really. Some days I think it's highly likely, with 140 men swarming this piece of the coastline, there's bound to have been a Spanish coin or two dropped in these fields, and particularly a rolled one. That's been a really interesting visit for me. It's really nice to see that place. I don't know for sure whether my coin was in any way involved in that wreck, but what I can say is geographically it's the closest event that I know of that had Spanish sailors involved, and as a result of that wreck there were a lot of Spanish men here living here for 5 years, so it does make sense to me that there's a possibility that one of those guys lost their coin. The other reasons why it could possibly be here is that the Spanish were pioneers of trade routes, and this was part of the English Channel trade routes, and maybe someone stopped at one of the big ports, Salcombe or Dartmouth or Plymouth, and perhaps it ended up here that way. But I just feel like the story adds up. You know, that coin was found in a ridge and furrow field. Highly likely any men off that wreck would have been put to work in the field, so it kind of stacks up for me. But it all hinges on the dates, and of course we'll never know the exact date of the mint of that coin. But in any case, I hope you've enjoyed the thinking I've been doing around this lovely find. Thank you very much for joining, everyone, and I hope to see you again on another one.